From IBMTV International Broadcast Media, this is your report from Washington. 7 days left, and more than 70 million people have voted. Let's start. A federal judge has ordered the U.S. Postal Service to deliver ballots ahead of voting deadlines. The order includes some of the most aggressive oversight the post office has faced yet in its handling of election mail. It zeroes in on a controversial policy of the U.S. Postal Service, which stopped extra and late delivery trips. On the campaign trail in Georgia, Biden spoke at the home where FDR healed from polio, saying, quote, "The soul of the nation is at stake in this election." Biden pledged to be a unifying force who can restore our soul and save this country. Trump focused on Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. This election is a matter of economic survival for Michigan, Trump said, and yet Trump attacked Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, both downplaying and taking credit for thwarting the recent plot to kidnap her. The Trump campaign suffered an attack of its own when its campaign website was briefly defaced in an apparent hack. On the road, Trump campaigns in Arizona and stages a rally across the Colorado River from neighboring Nevada. Biden will spend the day in Delaware. Biden will receive a virtual briefing from public health experts, then give a speech on the pandemic and how he plans to protect insurance coverage. Kamala Harris will campaign in Arizona a day after making multiple trips to Nevada. Biden is focusing later this week on Florida, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Michigan in the closing stretch. Next, newly confirmed Justice Barrett's first votes on the Supreme Court could include two big topics affecting the man who nominated her. The court is weighing a plea from Trump to prevent the Manhattan district attorney from requiring his tax returns, as well as appeals from the Trump campaign and Republicans to shorten the deadline for receiving and counting absentee ballots in the battleground states of North Carolina and Pennsylvania. Separately, the Supreme Court sided with Republicans to prevent Wisconsin from counting mailed ballots that are received after Election Day. In a 5-3 order, the justices refused to reinstate a lower court order that called for mailed ballots to be counted if they were received up to 6 days after the election. In other news, the CEOs of Twitter, Facebook, and Google are facing a grilling by Republican senators who are making unfounded allegations that the tech giants show anti-conservative bias. With the election looming, Trump hurled grievances at the big tech social media platforms, which he accuses of deliberately suppressing conservative, religious, and anti-abortion views. Beyond questioning the CEO, senators are expected to examine proposals to revise long-held legal protections for online speech and immunity that critics in both parties say enables the companies to abdicate their responsibility. In world news, Iran is building an underground advanced centrifuge assembly plant after its last one exploded in a reported sabotage attack last summer. The construction comes as the U.S. nears Election Day. The outcome of the election will decide which approach America takes moving forward. Heightened tensions between Iran and the U.S. nearly ignited a war at the start of this year. In Tanzania, voters went to the polls despite opposition leaders warning that it had already compromised by manipulation, deadly violence, and a massive internet slowdown in a country once praised as a beacon of peace in Africa. The East African nation has become a human rights crisis as diplomats, the United Nations, say the government has severely stifled media, civil society, and opposition voices. Now, in Belgium has been hard hit by the pandemic. And this week, news recorded that Belgium, which is shoehorned in between Germany, France, and the Netherlands, has having the highest 14-day cumulative number of COVID-19 cases per 100,000 citizens, surpassing the Czech Republic. Over 10,000 plus people have died already. This in a wealthy nation of 11.5 million people, where no fewer than 9 ministers, national and regional, have a say-so on health issues. In Armenia and Azerbaijan, fighting raged on, unimpeded by a U.S.-brokered ceasefire. Both sides traded blame for the deal's quick unraveling. Poland goes on strike. People across Poland are vowing to stay off their jobs as part of a nationwide strike to protest a ruling that bans abortions. Finally, the current COVID death toll from Johns Hopkins is over 226,722 American souls lost and 1,167,634 global souls lost with no vaccine in sight. That is your report for October 28, 2020 from IBM TV International Broadcast Media. Smart television for a smarter global community. From dictatorships to democracies around the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. I'm Bill Trezevant.